Hello, I am Adrienne Bryant, a broker and area vice president for Villa Home. We are a real estate company. Today, I want to talk about two things that drive every real estate business: leads and listings. If you master these two things, everything else in the business becomes easier. Your pipeline gets stronger, your confidence grows, and your income follows. The agents who consistently win in this industry are not necessarily the most talented, but they're the ones that understand how to create opportunities and how to control inventory. Every agent and broker wants more closings, but closings come from appointments and appointments from leads. And the agents who build the strongest businesses eventually learn one thing: listings are leverage. If we focus on the right opportunities consistently, we don't have to chase business. Business starts coming to us. We're going to walk through some practical ways you can generate more leads and then turn those opportunities into listings. So, leads and listings. Lead roll call, as we showed on our last meeting. These are some leads that are available to our agents here at Villa Home. Um, so, are you signed up? Smart Buy with Carrington. These are our leads that are Carrington mortgage customers and the sellers. When they want to sell their home, they get a discounted rate if they list with a Villa agent. And then the buyers, they get a percentage back, a 0.5% back to them if they close with a Villa agent. So these are the Smart Buy leads. They are distributed based on your address that you have on file with HR. So in our agent locator. So make sure you have the current address that where you want to obtain leads on file with HR. And then Clever is our one of our lead generation partners. They require a more active agent with recent transactions. Don't necessarily have to be a experienced agent, but you have to be an agent with recent transactions. So they require a bio and proof of your recent transactions. And then Opcity is one of our partners. In my area, in my states, it's one of the top closers. So you have to be sent an invitation from your broker in order to receive those leads. Sold.com, you just log on to that website. They have two different options. You can do the basic package, which is if you close a lead, then you have to pay a referral fee at the close. And then there's the other one that's a paid package where you pay in advance for leads. You're going to pay for leads one or the other, usually in advance or at the end as a referral. Sold.com are listing leads mostly, and they come across as an appointment. REOs, our brokerage is one of the leading brokerages for the institutional side of the business. That is the distressed owners. And then after they foreclose, they become bank owned or REOs. So sign up for those. If you're a Villa agent, you have to take the training first. And then Prime Street is available in my states. It's available in Atlanta and Charlotte. It's another lead generation company. And then Realty Store is another one. I believe it's $25 a month for Realty Store. Upnest, as well as Opcity, are owned by Realtor. So these are the referral fee side where you pay a referral at close. And then you have your paid in advance leads. So usually you invest some of your marketing dollars into like a Zillow or Realtor or Lever, which is Movoto leads. So you can purchase leads upfront and they in a certain zip code normally, and you're guaranteed a certain amount of leads. Social media posts. So today, more and more agents, the top agents, you see them all over social media. So be sure you have your personal page, your business page, and that you're logged into the realtor pages or your area pages, your neighborhood groups, different groups, investor groups. So social media posts are another way to get leads. Here are 7 tips for converting online real estate leads. You want to respond quickly, have a strong social presence. So that means networking, um, greeting, shaking hands at church or another function that you go to, your kids' school, your school, at if you have another business or career, just meeting as many people as you can, and also social media. Get an in-person meeting ASAP with that lead. So do not hang up that or end that first conversation without setting up a follow-up, an important appointment with them. Demonstrate your value. Ask good questions. Talk a little bit about yourself, but do not overtalk them. Do more listening, but demonstrate your value. Follow up regularly. Fortune is in the follow up, and always articulate the next step in the process. So, okay, next we're going to do this. Next is we're going to look at houses, and so articulate the next step. So always let your client know what to expect. Learn directly from the best. Education, education, education. So listen to gurus. YouTube's your friend. So those are some 7 tips for converting online real estate leads. Lead conversation. So I changed the name from lead conversion to lead conversation. So because you generally want to have a conversation with each client. And again, you want to listen, 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 and then talk and tell them how you can help them either solve their real estate problem, or mostly get their home sold or get them to their purchase. Know your lead source. So if your lead source comes from Opcity, it is going to come through an app, and you have to win the lead first over other agents in the area. If it's a Prime Street, it's going to come to you first, and it'll sit with you for 12 seconds before it moves on to the next agent. And then Smart Buy Leads. Smart Buy Leads, you are contacted in a Velocity app. In your CRM, you receive an email and I believe a text. So you're notified in different ways. So what is your source that helps you to determine how you're going to follow up that lead? Is it a cold lead versus a warm lead? Those that I just described are warm leads. Cold leads are expireds, FSBOs, a list that you brought. Does it come through an app, like I just mentioned, or a Smart Buy lead? Determine their need and advise how you can help. Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? Are they both? Are they looking to invest? Are they a renter? Don't discount a renter. If they're looking to rent, you can talk to them, see what your situation is. Why are they renting versus buying? This is a person that you maybe need to work with for a year and help them to be able to buy. Number 2, instead of asking, are you working with a real estate agent? You're going to ask, have you viewed any properties yet? Pick this up from a guru. That's better to ask, because if you ask, are you working with a real estate agent? They'll say no. And if they're not working with someone at the moment. So they don't technically do not understand what you mean by that. So ask them if they viewed any properties, and if so, tell me about the real estate agent that showed you the properties. And eventually you're going to ask, did they sign any type of agreement with them? You want to ask them to tell you about the real estate agent because you maybe get their name so you can follow up and maybe check with that agent. That is at your discretion. Buyer. Number three, you want to ask them how are they purchasing? If they're a buyer, are you obtaining a loan or are you purchasing with cash? Or are you using a lender? If they're financing, are you already working with the lender? We will need a pre-approval, or if they're purchasing cash, we need proof of funds. So you need to get that first before you start showing property because you need to explain to them that we have to show proof of funds or pre-approval, i.e. proof that they obtained a loan or they are approved for a loan when you write the offer. You want to recommend 2 to 3 lenders and advise the lender type. What I mean by that is one lender may work well with lower credit scores. Another lender may have a lot of down payment assistance opportunities, or a lender may be a credit union, maybe a bank, or it may be a mortgage lender or a mortgage broker. So you want to describe, maybe give them 3 different kinds and let them not only just shop rates, but who's going to give great service and get them closed and work with your client. So set an appointment with that buyer after your first consultation. You send them a list of lenders, set an appointment to follow up with them 2 to 3 days to give them a chance to work with the lender, fill out an application and get comfortable. You're going to follow up after that to see who they selected, follow up with that lender as well to see if that, did they call the lender, contact them? Did they qualify them for how much? Seller, you want to set a listing appointment type if they're a seller, listing appointment date, excuse me. So you're going to set a date to visit their property and walk their property and then have your listing appointment basically. In between that time, you're going to prepare. So we'll go over that later. Are you interviewing other brokerages? You want to ask, that's a great question to ask sellers. You need to know if, you're in competition. You're going to bring your A game regardless, but it's good to know if they're interviewing other brokerages besides you. Couple of agents follow up after appointment. And if the appointment if they gave a listing to another brokerage, you might want to ask them, okay, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Do you mind telling me why you selected the other brokerage so that it can help me present a little better? Make an appointment with them, follow up, consultation, show property. So those are your 3 things. You want to follow up, you want to have a consultation with them, i.e. an appointment, and then show property if they're a buyer, list the property if they are a seller. Ask if you can send them more properties if they're a buyer. Can I send you more properties meeting your criteria? Even if they're not pre-approved yet, they have an idea maybe of what they want to spend per month. They already know what area they want to move to. So you're going to start sending them something. The best drip to send them are listings. So they can see the prices in the area they want to move to and have an idea of the houses, the ages, the neighborhoods, different things like that. You can do an auto send through your MLS. You can also do an auto send through inside Villa through our agent dashboard. Ways to obtain listings. Here are some ways to obtain listings: lead generation, SmartBuy, Sold.com, Clever, or paid leads. These are going to generate, those are some of the top ones to get listings where we're getting our listings and closing our listings. Also, REOs. REOs are listings that you didn't have to market, you didn't have to interview, you had to train, and you have to set up. Real quick about REOs, if you're thinking about getting in the REO market or you just started, it's four things you need to remember. You need to have some capital. The three things that we agents and brokers generally front the cost for are minor repairs, rekeying, and utility deposits. So keep that in mind. The second thing is you have to communicate well with your asset manager and the asset management team. So you want to communicate on all things, ask questions, um, just whatever you see at the property, communicate that to them. You are the eyes and ears for that REO. And then also, you want to get it closed. Oh, get your task in on time. REOs are very task driven. So make sure you're getting your task in on time, and that goes along with communicating. And then finally, you want to get it sold. A lot of times we get caught up in the tasking and the repairs and everything else that we forget we're trying to sell a property. You have to think of that asset manager or that institutional client as a client, just like Mr. and Mrs. Seller. So some of the REOs are companies, the main ones that we work with are CMS, which is Carrington Mortgage Services, Zone, Hubzu / AltaSource, Covius, and Celine. So those are some of our REO asset management companies that we work with, the main ones. The first two, we are a preferred brokerage with them, so we get first selection when an asset comes across their desk. Farming, mailers and door knocking. So some of us aren't, I'm one of them, aren't prone to door knocking, but some of us are. Well, put on a nice Villa polo shirt or put your suit jacket on or something, dress nice and you door knock, and you need to have your materials and kits and things with you. Be careful of not soliciting, and mailers. So maybe not, or the combination of both. You door knock or you send some mailers, and then after 2 months of sending mailers, you might want to door knock. Hey, I've been sending some information, just want to introduce myself in person. So that is farming. You select 1 to 2 neighborhoods and go out and farm that neighborhood, become the expert. Best neighborhood could be the one that you live in. Another way is a sphere of influence / your CRM. So basically your database, everyone you know, and leads that you obtain all should be going into your CRM. It's part of the process. And referrals from past clients. So you want to stay in touch with your past clients after you close on a property. You want to send them a drip campaign so they can send you referrals, even if they're moving out of town and then maybe you sold their home and they're moving to another state. But you still want to keep them in a drip campaign, keep in touch with them. So if they have friends or coworkers or someone moving to the area where they just lived. Expireds and FSBOs. These are pretty much cold leads, but expireds, that's another way to obtain listings. A listing has been up. You may want to wait maybe a couple of days after expired. Maybe it's been expired 7 days and you don't see that it's relisted. That's a good time to approach that seller and maybe have a script or approach them to see why it didn't sell or did they change their mind, and if you can help them. They are wide open to approach once they are expired. And FSBOs, also approaching them. Why are you selling your home on your own? Is there any way? I have some buyers. Would you be willing to assist with compensation? So approach some FSBOs. The iBuyers are a good one to approach FSBOs, go and expired. Get a printout of price of a property and take it to that FSBO seller or that expired to get it so they can get an idea of what they can get. And hey, I have a buyer here for you. Open houses, that's another way to get listings. Sometimes open houses are for that reason. You might most likely may not obtain a buyer, but the neighbors are seeing activity, especially if you're consistent with your open houses. If you have a listing in the neighborhood, an REO, if you have a listing in the neighborhood, your sign is up, they see that you have a nice sign out front. This agent is really working, um, and balloons and signs invite the neighbors over. Maybe, they want to pick their neighbor and so on. Give them a CMA on the neighborhood, give them an idea of what the properties are going for. Another one, way to obtain listings, marketing, good old fashioned marketing, networking, and social media. So, networking, getting in front of as many people as possible, even other agents in classes. Uh, you want to, hey, I have a few listings. Do you have any buyers in this neighborhood? So, networking and also social media. The first place that the consumer goes usually when they want to buy or sell is online. So you want to meet them there online. Trying to move this bar out of the way so I can see what I typed here. So content creation on social media. Be consistent. Chat GPT will help write a 30-day or a 6-week or a 4-week or a 2-week campaign where you can post 2 to 3 different posts a week, but just be consistent. The more you post, the more attention you get, the more followers you get. And also what everyone says after they post, please like and share. So like, comment, share. That gets you more and more followers. And Canva will also make beautiful posts and enhance your photos and backgrounds. I go in, if I see one of my agents' photos, I will change their background or I'll do something when they post their photos or their listings on social media. Facebook is a big one. Instagram also. Canva has templates specifically for Facebook and also Instagram. LinkedIn, you want to post, that's a great place for recruiting. So some people get buyers on there. Investors are on there heavy, and agents, real estate industry people are on LinkedIn. Preparing for your appointments. So you set up that appointment. Maybe the buyer went ahead and they got pre-approval letter. The seller is you got your CMA together, you got your listing package together, your listing agreement that you're going to go over, your buyer agreement, you're meeting with that buyer. So you want to read your state contracts. Read the state contracts. So make sure you understand, read it. If you only read it one time, but all the places, read it. The middle of the contracts normally is an explanation of whatever that section is. There's always it's not going to just say protection period without it saying what that means. So make sure you understand, you're the expert. They're paying you to know this stuff. Be ready to explain them to your clients and answer the questions. Remember, you're the expert. Work on negotiating. Be confident in your skills. Role play with another agent, with me. We can set up a time where a group of us can role play. We had an excellent buyer workshop where we role played, and then we went and did a mock showing. You'll overcome objections that way. Have a game plan and give them options. So by having a game plan, you're sharing your game plan with them. So what your plan is to sell their home or what your plan is to get them in their next home, and give them options. You receive the education, be confident, know your worth, and present the service you provide. Every time you go to a class or get some education, that makes you even stronger and more confident. Knowledge is power. Have a full conversation with your client and potential client. Scripts and training will help you prep. We have scripts in Earth to Orbit with our coach, Rob Stein. Earth to Orbit features he has some scripts in there for you to help you. When you are face to face with the client, listen to them. Don't do all of the talking. Sometimes it could be nerves too sometimes, but when you're in front of that at that listing appointment, don't just jump in and start talking over them. There's things you got to find out. Why are they selling? Why are they moving? Why are they purchasing? Why are they purchasing in that neighborhood? So you want to hear all kind of things. What is their personal situation that can help you navigate and help them, be able to help them. The more you know, the more you can help them. But if you're doing all the talking about how wonderful you are and you are wonderful, you're not getting the information you need from them. Education is key. The more you take classes and training, the more confident you will be. Again, knowledge is power. Can't stress that enough. So make sure you're taking local classes through your realtor board. Go to summits, listen to your gurus, maybe invest in some additional training, invest in your business, grow, and learn. The consultation. Okay, we're ready. We have all our materials together, and now we're meeting with our client. We're getting ready to get this show on the road. So, first with your buyer appointment. So, on the buyer appointment, you're going to have that appointment either virtually or you can have that appointment on the phone, over the phone. They might be long distance. Meet them at a coffee shop or at the office. You're going to discuss financing and costs for them. You don't want to take someone, have them sign a buyer agreement, and now you're under contract and they had no idea about earnest money deposit, down payment that they're going to have to make, closing costs. They have no idea of that. So go over that with them. Even if they've purchased a house before, you're still going to go over that. So you're going to explain to them the earnest money deposit, kind of, what the unwritten rule is or what the expectations are. If they're in a multiple offer situation, they may want to put earnest money down. Explain that they get a credit towards the end of, at closing. That comes out of an overall credit on the closing. Don't necessarily come off the price or a credit towards their down payment or credit. It's just an overall credit for them. Down payment. This is more or less if they're getting financing and on our loan side. Make sure though that they understand they're working with their lender on what they're looking at putting down. Like for instance, if it's a FHA loan, most likely they're putting 3.5% down. And also closing costs. You're going to get an estimate. You can write to Villa Title. You can write to you can write to send an email to closing attorney to get a sheet to get an estimate of the closing costs. The lender has to give that buyer the closing cost estimate or the estimate of the cost for the loan anyway. So you're going to explain to them, when I write an offer, I'm going to ask the seller to pay as much of your closing costs as possible. So you're going to explain the whole process of each one of these things. Compensation. This is where you talk about, by this time you have shown your worth. This is what my fee to work with you. my compensation. I get paid at closing. I get paid when we close, when I get you successfully in your home. This is why it's important that we make sure we have everything taken care of at the top, and I don't want you to have any surprises throughout the transaction. So compensation, I charge X percent, and if they're not um, a VA loan client, you want to let them know about transaction fee. My brokerage charges a transaction fee that is with the commission, and it comes out at closing. You want to explain to them an inspection. The inspector works for them. So they hire an inspector, and just like a lender, you're going to give them 2 to 3 inspector names. If your brother is an inspector, that is great. You definitely want to recommend your brother, but you also want to give them 1 or 2 other inspectors for them to decide. They are hiring the inspector. You are just your consultant. So let them know the average inspection cost. Explain what the inspector does. If they're purchasing new construction, they want to get this maybe a soil test or a radon testing, something like that. They're getting land, purchasing land, a perk test. So these are different. Look these up, find out about what these cost. Some inspection companies will also do a free termite letter. Some inspection companies, they'll offer additional services now. So you want to let them know it is definitely worth it, even if they don't find too much wrong, just so they know the age of the roof, for instance. What's the life expectancy on the appliances and certain things. And finally, the appraisal. So you want to explain to them that the appraisal is for the lender. So the appraisal is for the lender. None of us are present when the appraiser goes over there so that it doesn't come as biased. Explain to them the things that the appraiser is looking for and the process. If the property appraises for less than what the sales price, then we have a little negotiation to do. If it appraises for more, then we're good to go. It might appraise for more, but with conditions. So explain the appraisal process. Needs. You're going to discuss with that buyer their needs, the location, where do they want to move? If they say, I get referrals from up north, a lot north of the country, they're moving to South Carolina. Okay, or are you moving to Columbia, Myrtle Beach, Charleston? Like what area? The PD area, the Midlands? Like where are you moving? So get them to narrow down a location. It might be a school district. It might be near their job. It might be they don't know. So that's what you're there to help them. Okay, so what type of things are you looking for? And I can recommend, do you want a larger city or do you want something a little bit mid-sized? Um, Greenville is an up and coming city, a great main street. So would it, kind of know your area and narrow it down. What size? They don't want anything under 3,000 square feet. So in that case, when you put in your search, you might put in 2,800. And so how many bedrooms? I can't have anything less than 4 bedrooms. I have to have, or I don't want anything more than 2 bedrooms. So features, I mean, okay, in your search, you're not going to put, a country kitchen necessarily, because this is something that they can live without. But you do want to discuss their must-haves. I must have a laundry room on the same level as the bedrooms. I must have a 2-car garage. I must. So be sure to listen and then follow up with them. When we did our when we did our buyer workshop, a couple of the agents said, okay, well, let me review with you. You're looking for You want this area, this school district, 4 bedroom, 4 to 5 bedroom features, blah, blah, blah. And if it's something, um, a fence, they want to fence the backyard. Okay. Might be a situation where you get a lower something under your price where you have room to put in a fence or, so you're going to have that conversation with them. Time frame. When do they need to buy? When do they need to be, maybe their lease is up where they're renting or they're moving out of state or they're starting a new job. So what's their time frame? Offer process. Go over the offer process with them, what you will need, how it works, how you're going to call the listing agent and go over with the listing agent. Oh, hey, here's my buyer. I'm going to be submitting an offer, blah, blah, blah. Compensation, how explain that some sellers will offer to pay some of my commission, but you will have to let's discuss you paying the difference, how that works. So all of that, you're going to explain to them negotiations and the offer process. And then you're going to go over the buyer agreement with them. So mainly buyer agreements, the fill in the blank parts. That's what you're okay, this is the protection period. The protection period is not in South Carolina contracts, but in some of our states, the protection period you're going to go over the buyer agency agreement with them. Understand that this is the agreement with the brokerage. So you're going to explain that to them. I am an agent of Villa Home and I represent Villa Home. My license is with them. This is the brokerage's agreement. You're working with my brokerage and me. Tips. You want to find out now. A lot of you we're in the middle of a contract or a transaction 2 weeks before closing and they're changing their name. So ask them now, are you taking title under first, middle, last, first and last? How are we doing it? Matching your driver's license. Can't use a nickname, sign all your paperwork, and then we get to closing and their name is Stanley, it's not Ray, certain things like that. If they're taking title under their LLC corporation as an entity, you need the entity papers, the letters of incorporation, the articles. You need that in hand across the board if that's how they're taking title. You don't have to go far into title. Leave that to closing attorneys and title. But you need to have this upfront. And so everything all the way to closing, we're not worrying about changing that. Keep a copy of the MLS sheet. Print out all the MLS sheets that you are showing property as you're in the property. You're going through and they're going to ask you, and what's the square footage again? Now understand they've studied this property themselves, but you also want to know. So keep that with you. And so that when you also write a contract, you have everything you need right there, or have it on your tablet or available on your phone. Dual agency consent. Make sure that you're explaining dual agency. If I show you one of my listings, I'm considered a dual agent. So you have to have their consent to work both sides of a transaction. The expiration date. Okay, we're going to do this realistically. It's a 2-month process from the time we start looking at properties until the time we close. So it's about 45-day process or more. So we're going to write this out for 90 days or 6 months or however you normally do it. But 90 days, 6 months is good. And then you renew after 6 months, nothing happens. Protection period, you're going to explain that. Should our agreement terminate or you don't purchase a property by the expiration date, everything that I show you, we keep a record of. And if you go back and buy it with another agent within that protection period, our brokerages do a compensation. So just let them know that it's not a villa thing, that is across the board, across the board. Listing appointment. Listing appointment is going to be at the property that you're listing. So first thing you're going to do is go in, you're going to walk the property with them, let them show you around. Again, let them do the talking and hear what they say. Oh, this is a room, blah, blah, blah. I love this, blah, blah, blah. And then one thing your goal is to get them to detach from the property and understand that they have to move. They're not thinking about that. They just thinking about I got to sell and I need this money and funds. They're not thinking about that. Like, okay, did you hire movers yet? Did you start packing? You know, and so on. You're going to get them to start packing. You're going to get them in a mindset of moving and detaching from the property. Discuss the repairs as you're walking through. Nice and professionally. Hey, this is, I like this color. Are you thinking about painting though to a more neutral color? Something like that. So you're going to discuss repairs with them. Are they planning on putting in a new floor or getting the carpets cleaned, that sort of thing? Getting the house professionally cleaned. There's the house that you live in, and then there's the house you're selling. The properties need to be within 15 minutes of showing. Discuss comps with them. And now you're sitting down at the kitchen table and you're going to discuss comps with them and the listing price range. And you're going to go over the game plan. So by listing price range, that's the top end. House is in pristine condition, upgrades, painted, everything's done. They can get the top of the range. They need to sell fast. Within 2 months, they got to get out of here. They got to get over to Chicago so that they can start the new job. They got to move fast. We're going to sell it as is. So that might be the lower price range. And then, so what's the game plan? We're going to list it at 300,000. If we don't get any showings within 10 days, we're going to drop it to 295 and so on. So you're coming up with a plan to get it sold. You're not just, okay, we're going to list it at this and okay, so you're going to work. And then once we start getting showings, we're at a good price. We're getting showings, but we're not getting offers. So now we need to maybe change the furniture around or we need to spruce up a little bit. Find out what their bottom line is. What do they want to, the lowest amount? I have got to walk away with this. So you're going to build your price range off of that bottom line. So you're going to discuss the figures with them. So from the list price, we're going to deduct the commission, including what they're paying the buyer's agent. So commission could be total of 5%, could be a total of 7%. So you're going to give them a total amount. And okay, this amount's going to go to listing agent. Sometimes you might want to give them a discount if you bring a buyer. You want to mention that, but you're going to go over the commission and then also seller concessions. So how much are you willing? They're going to ask you to pay some closing costs. So we're going to deduct this amount. This is the most, okay, the most I'm going to give towards their seller is their buyer's closing costs, $5,000. So you're going to deduct that. And then do they have a loan, existing loan, the loan payoff amount? And also, if that loan is at a very low interest rate, you want to discuss, find out from their lender, ask them, because you can't call on their behalf, is that an assumable loan? And learn about loan assumptions. I did one last year. It was fantastic. So that's a way that the buyer, and that's a great selling point for the buyer to, they can assume the loan and they only have to borrow above that. The buyer will still have to apply with the seller's lender to assume that loan and and the terms, they assume the whole thing. So if they only have 8 years left on a loan, they're assuming that. And then they get their own loan for the additional, if there's more. You're going to give the list price range, upgrades versus repairs, what I just went over, a marketing plan. What's your plan to market? Are you going to do open houses? Are you going to do you post consistently on social media? Do not tell them you're going to do that, and you're now already doing that. So, how are you going to market? You should have a marketing plan for your listings. Our top agents, they have that. They have a package. Some people have an experience. Some people have. So I'm going to do open houses, and this is what I do at my open houses. My first open house is going to be a broker open house. I'm going to invite the local agents. My next open house is going to be wine and cheese. My next open house is going to be on a Thursday night, catching people as they're coming from work. I'm also going to do open house on Saturdays in the afternoon while people are out, on the weekends. So what is your marketing plan? Okay, your sign, your all of that. You need to go over that with them. Home warranty. This is how you're showing your value. Home warranty. Do they have an existing home warranty that can be transferred to the buyer? Or are they willing to purchase a home warranty for the buyer? And this is how much it's going to cost. Home warranties run about $600-700 now. So if they don't have one, explain that to them. So, and the last couple, you're going to go over the showing schedule. Maybe they're a day worker, or maybe a lot of people work from home now. So, and then the lockbox. So what's the game plan? What's the plan? Will we get a showing? Do they have babies, young children? Do they need a 2-hour notice? Is it off limits on Sundays, which is a high showing time? But so you're going to work out the showing schedule with them, explain how the lockbox works so they don't think anyone's just walking in their house. They don't know that. So explain how the lockbox works. And then the listing package, the final thing you're going to do, you still have them. So you're going to go over the listing agreement. I usually print out the first couple of pages, the pages you got, depends on what state you're in, but you're going to print out a copy of the listing agreement and give it to them so that they can look it over and read it. And maybe fill in the listing price. You're going to go back with you. You're going to write down what you guys all agreed on. You're going to go, and this is where I'm going to send you a listing agreement online for you to sign. Otherwise, if they're not tech savvy or like my mom, you would have to take the paperwork to her. So you're also going to go over the lead-based paint. HOA, community disclosures, you're going to get the covenants. And if they're in a HOA community, you need to have a copy of the covenants. Where can we get that? So you're going to give them a couple of days to do that. You're going to give them a couple of days to fill out the seller property condition or disclosure. You're going to, they need to fill those two things out, the HOA or community disclosure and the seller property disclosure. You're leaving that with them, and you're going to set a follow-up to pick up those items. You're also going to have the tax record and the legal description printed out when you go there. So you're going to set up another appointment to pick those items up. If they're making repairs, set a deadline. Okay, I'm going to have this done. I'm going to have the house painted. We're going to have everything done by this is, if it's March, we have everything done by April 15th. Let's set a deadline. We want to go live. We want to go on the market no later than May 1st. We're going to hit, best time to go on market is a Thursday. Then you got right before the weekend. So, and be ready to get them on market. And then the Villa Home ADA, that is also the best time to present that. It's very hard to get it signed towards the closing or in the middle of the transaction. So have it with your listing agreement package. Okay, so put together your package. Last, some marketing materials. If you go to villa.design, there's no .com, just villa.design. You have, and under the second tab, which is Villa Home, first tab is where you'll find the starter kit, is where you'll find the Villa store, where you get your signs, you get name tags, your polo shirts. But under Villa Home, at the bottom, you'll see the buyer and seller package checklist, buyer and seller materials. And then you have your buyer's guide. So I think it's like 40 pages, but it's for you it helps you. You can use this to flip through. You can add your listing agreement package with that, or buyer agreement package with that. It's really not a package for buyer's agreement. Most stuff they have to get, but the buyer agreement itself. And just want to mention, if you're working with the investor, a lot of times they want to do a non-exclusive buyer agreement, and that's fine. They have you working in one area, they may have another agent. So this covers you for anything that you show them. But it's okay to have a non-exclusive on the buyer side. Definitely not listing side. So buyer's guide and a seller's guide. You can go in, you can custom change it, update it to put your information in there, and it helps you to guide you through the process and your appointment. So that is it. Thank you. If you stayed this long, hopefully you got a lot of information out of this and you are ready for your next buyer's consultation, or your first buyer's consultation or listing appointment. Go ahead and sign up and register for all the lead gen opportunities available, and also get out and talk to people. Don't hide behind your laptop and in your house. You have to come out and you have to network with the community and get to know your neighborhood and talk to as many people as possible. Thanks again, and happy selling.